ideas, initiatives in a better way, because if you try to spread things too thin, you invariably come up diluting the formula, and you don't create that powerful impact that you really want to get and deliver both to your sponsor partners, and again, the people that really count, the runners, your audience, those 5 or 10 or 20,000 or the 500 or the 1,000 or the 200 people that are in your event. You want to deliver the best experience for them, for everybody that runs, whether it be elites or the mass participants. Everybody should enjoy the same experience. That's what you're striving for. Next slide, please. There we are. That's what I call the demon shoe. This shoe has created a lot of controversy because it's a Nike shoe and it's innovative, and some people don't really like it. And whether it's legal or not legal, you know, the debates will go on, and the online social media forums are all la 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 about this shoe. My point about this is about the innovation. Nike is an innovation company and a marketing company. Way back in the day when I was actually running, their number 2 employee, Jeff Johnson, who was a great promo guy and always wanted to do things different, decided, how do we get our brand? Nobody knows this brand. Adidas rules the world. ASICS rules the world. How do we get this brand called Nike? And nobody even knew how to pronounce it. They called it Nick or Nike. How do we get it into the consciousness of athletes and the running public? So what they did was they made racing shoes in completely different colors. Pink, green, mauve, yellow, all kinds of colors that you never would have imagined. And they gave those as promotion shoes to all the top athletes that they decided to sponsor. Well, it worked, because all of a sudden Nike was recognized, the media told stories, and the brand started to grow. The brand was really born in a way at that point. So my point is, innovate. Don't be afraid to innovate. Some people may not like what you do. That's okay. Innovate. Dare to do something different. Next slide. This is just some examples of BAA innovation in digital. So by the time 2019 came along, and you know, the BAA started to invest more heavily in digital media, then obviously things like virtual online runs came about, live tracking of competitors during the race. So I think nowadays everybody is aware of the digital formula, how you have to have an investment in digital media. My suggestion or recommendation about that is make sure you have a balance. Make sure you don't go all the way to digital. Remember, there is no substitute for actually physically running the race. And this year, the London Marathon, unfortunately, like many events, was not able to run the full race. So they did do an excellent event with just elite athletes. And I think they had about 45,000 virtual runners complete the event. So that was very interesting one. I would encourage people to read more about that. Have a look how they did it, what those aspects might mean as we go through this COVID situation, which nobody really knows yet when it's going to end. Next slide. So just a little, 2 little tidbits to remember, if you remember anything. Sir Frank Lowe was an advertising guru in the UK, 80s, 90s. And I always like this quote: the biggest risk of all may be to not take one. And also an athlete that I very much admired, and many people do, Basketball player Michael Jordan said once, "You miss 100% of the shots you never take." So when you go about thinking of things and thinking of ideas, again, it comes back to this idea of don't be afraid to take a risk. People who take risks push the boundaries and take things to the next level. Next slide. And on that subject, I just looked at this story yesterday, Virgin Money. Now, Virgin Money is a sponsor of the London Marathon, and they do a fine job. But you think of Virgin Money, you think, is that a bank? And what are they trying to do? Well, no, they're not trying to be a bank brand. Their objective, what they want to be, is a consumer lifestyle brand. So what they've looked at is they are going to put sponsorship dollars into sports events, fitness events, and music events. And their idea is they want to capture that next generation and take the fear out of finance and investing. So it's I think it's a very clever way for a non-sports brand to look at their target pools, if you like, and look at how can we connect differently and how can we connect in a way that matters to our potential customers, especially the younger generations, sport, fitness, music, entertainment. Next slide. So this really is just a artist impression of what the Virgin Money event team are considering for this idea of bringing people together at events, music festivals, etc. And if you go back to what I just said and remember Frank Lowe, the biggest risk of all may be to not take one. And Michael Jordan, you'll miss 100% of the shots you never take. This is a great example, I think, of Virgin Money being disruptive enough to take a shot, take a chance, and take a risk. So I would always encourage anybody in the tourist industry, the sports event industry, to take that viewpoint. Don't be scared to take a risk. It'll pay off. Next slide. And most of all, make it fun for everybody, for your competitors, for your participants, for your staff, for your sponsors, for your administrators, for your volunteers. Make your event something for everybody to remember, and make your event something that immediately after the event, people say, where can I sign up for next year? And I think that's my time up. So I thank you very much for your attention. I hope that has maybe given some insights and some ideas for people to think about. And I'll be happy to join in the Q&A, I believe, when that's time to do so. And I think Alan will be next.
Thank you, Dave. Let's give
You're
applause
welcome.
to Dave Murphy. So before we go for the Q&A session, so I would like to go with Alan. So let him prepare for the next slide.
Yes, guys, can you hear me? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Right, because I'm gonna run this slide presentation from Dubai.
Okay, the stage is yours.
So bear with me 1 second.
All right.
Hopefully this will work. You can see it okay?
I see your face anyway.
You don't see my slideshow?
Not yet.
Hang on. It's come up on my screen. 1 second. Yes, I can see it on my Zoom, but we may have to go with your version. You can't see it at all, no?
Not yet.
Right. I read the instructions clearly, and it's not working. 1 second. I can't even find you anymore. Okay. Maybe you'll have to show the slideshow instead, and I can't even see you guys now. I found you now. There we are. But you can't see me. You can't see the slow, you know?
It's all right.
I'm trying to share this with you. Still nothing?
No.
Ah, dear, such a shame. It's working here perfectly.
We can do it from here also, Alan.
Yeah, you can. I'll have to tell you when to click. There's quite a lot of them.
You can just give instruction like saying next.
Yeah, just if you put it up, that'll be fine.
Okay, then we can start from here. There you
Sure.
go.
Okay. Basically, to give you a quick introduction on the Standard Chartered Dubai Marathon. If you go to the next slide, please. Okay, well, the event was established in 2000 as an international event. Before that, it was local runners, no elites, but the elites started to come in 2000. We have races at 4K, 10K, and the full marathon distance. We were the first IAAF, now World Athletics, gold label marathon in the Middle East. We are still the largest participation event in the region, and one of only 3 5-star sporting events as nominated by the Dubai Sports Council. And on average, we have between 25 and 30,000 runners across the 3 races. The images you can see there are of Haile Gebrselassie. He has been to Dubai 3 times. He won 3 times in a row, naturally. And the bottom left picture gives you an idea of the quality of the finishing we have. We believe in having strength in depth of the field. And if you can see from that picture, the first 5 runners are crossing the line within about 7 or 8 seconds of each other, which is quite unheard of. Next slide, please. My background myself, I've been involved with sporting events in the Middle East since 1988. I'm sure there's some people there that weren't born then. But yes, I've been doing this a long time. Aside from the Standard Chartered Dubai Marathon, I've also been involved in golf events, such as the Dubai Desert Classic, which is a European tour event, the DP World Tour Championship, which is the final event in the race to Dubai, and will be held here next week. The Volvo China Open for 3 years over in China and Beijing and Shenzhen. I've also worked in powerboat racing, another golf event in Qatar. I worked with the first Formula One Bahrain Grand Prix in 2004, publishing a daily newspaper for all stakeholders. And in 2006, I looked after all Emirates global PR promotions for the FIFA World Cup. I'm basically giving you an idea of the sort of coverage we're trying to gain for our events. Fortunately, with the golf events, we've had some big names such as Tiger Woods, as you can see on the top picture, Rory McIlroy on the left-hand side there in front of the pyramids at the Egyptian Open. And on the right-hand side, we have Kiradech Chapi-Barnrat. Now, the point of Kiradech is that when you're looking after the media of your event, it's not just all about putting stuff out at random. I approached the Bangkok Post in advance and asked if they would like some exclusive material from our event. Now, if they've not got any journalists or media personnel covering the event, then they're delighted to take stuff as long as we're not giving it to any other newspapers in Thailand, such as The Nation. So these are little things that we do, which it's an extra. Next slide, please. This is a little promo of the event we had in January this year, if you press play. No, it's not playing. You have to click in the middle of the image. It should play. Otherwise, you get a picture of a flag.
It doesn't work, Alan.
Okay, never mind. We'll move on then. Okay, now global media coverage. Why do we do this for marathon events? So Dave touched on a number of points that it's not just media coverage you're after, but on this point, I will explain a bit further. The local media, yes, you're looking to raise public awareness. You're needing to educate the people, not only that are competing in the event, but also the people whose public lives you're disrupting. If you're closing roads, if you're changing the routing of traffic, etc., this is part of the media coverage that you need to be very strong on. As you know, sponsors, they don't do this for nothing. They want an ROI. They're looking for return on investment. Dave touched on a very good point about getting the right sponsors that work with your brand. Yes, Standard Chartered have been involved with the Dubai Marathon for 15, 16 years. And not only do they want global coverage and worldwide eyeballs on their name and on their event, it's also important for them to get local coverage and to reach the masses, the customers who will run at the event on the Sunday or on the Friday. But not only is it for the brand, it's for the brand of Dubai. So we look after global city promotion. If you look at the earlier pictures, we have Tiger Woods on the Burj Al Arab. If you can find part of your city that can brand it, something exciting, something that makes your city stand out from others, try and use it as part of your promotion. Dubai is very good at that, but then again, Dubai has some of the most modern buildings in the world. They can use the Burj Khalifa, the Burj Al Arab, and of course, Dubai Marina, Atlantis. We're not saying that every event should have millionaire buildings such as these, but at the end of the day, we're all trying to do the same thing. So look into your event, look at something you may have that someone else doesn't have, and try and maximize the impact with that. Of course, public relations, you have two publics we're dealing with. You're dealing with the external public who are looking in on your event, your spectators, your viewers in other countries, television, newspaper readers, social media followers. But you've also got your internal public, the people who work for the event. So you need to communicate as strongly as you can with them. So we're all singing from the same hymn sheet, as it were. It's important to have strong partnerships with global media outlets, owners, and contributors. This is what we try and establish over the past 20 years. It's not something you can do right away, but if you employ or engage the right people, it's a step in the right direction. And of course, the best runners and established ambassadors will always bring in extra global media coverage. If you bring in elite runners, of course, that's going to get you mileage in the countries from which they originate. And of course, you bring in ambassadors such as Paula Radcliffe, and as we mentioned, Haile Gebrselassie, that will also increase your middle interest of your event. Next slide, please. Now, in the build-up to an event such as Dubai Marathon, now, I'm talking about the marathon we have in Dubai. It may not be the same as your running event, but as I said earlier, we all have the same goals and ambitions, and it's the same principles throughout. No matter if your event's big or it's small, let's try and maximize the exposure for the client, the sponsor, and as well as the athletes. Now, for something like the marathon, we'll do a huge amount of advertising in the build-up, but usually with a partner. So the radio isn't actually costing us any money, but we're giving them brand exposure. As Dave also pointed out quite rightly, strong brand exposure. So for the radio, it has the radio we dealt with had 5 different stations. So we gave them 5 different broadcast spots on the route. They could brand it as they see fit within our parameters, and they could go live for 4 hours on the day around the event. We work closely with them to bring them winners, to bring them personalities, and to bring them people like the ambassadors such as Paula Radcliffe, and of course, the sponsors. I said that was across all channels for a period of many weeks up until the race this year, which was January 24th. And as you can see there, we're live will be on the day from the 5 different stations. And also live will be from run number collection. So when the runners were collecting their numbers on the Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we had live broadcast there, and again, extra mileage for the sponsors. Of course, we couldn't be anywhere without the traditional press. Social and digital media is key. Advertising both above and below the line should also be part of the mix. And one key point, again, harking back to something Dave quite rightly pointed out, how do you make your event better year after year? We introduced Dubai Marathon TV and live streaming. Next slide, please. So prior to the 2019 event, Pace Events, who are the organizer of the Standard Chartered Dubai Marathon, would go with the local broadcaster. And the local broadcaster would do a job, and it was fine, and they would distribute the material, but we weren't reaching everyone. So we decided to take that cost in-house, and we adopted a new media broadcast and distribution strategy, which was Dubai Marathon TV. So the aim was to produce and direct a high-quality live stream of the race, which would go to every country in the world free of charge. So you could basically watch it anywhere in the world, no geo-blocking. The bottom of that picture, you'll see no geo-blocking, that's key. The amount of times we had TV broadcasters selling the rights to France, for instance, and half that country couldn't watch it. We want everyone in France to watch, want everyone in Asia to watch it. So the key for us is giving that product free of charge to the broadcaster, who then in turn gives it free of charge to the viewers. Now, this was all directed and produced on site by a dedicated team. You can see on the graphic on the right there, that shows the start-finish line of the event. And we had an outside broadcast area there, as well as the inside broadcast. Live drones, motorbikes, timing, commentary, graphics, all part of the Dubai Marathon team, and with experts such as Pat Butcher, Paula Radcliffe, and Tim Hutchins commentating. Next slide, please. Now, the Dubai Marathon TV was something we also put out on YouTube. So the broadcast was live on YouTube. It was live on a number of athletics websites, and it was also live on the Dubai Marathon website. Now, through the distribution company, we managed to get things like Panda TV because we didn't have the contacts in China. But through these guys, we managed to get to that market. But we also do a news feed, which is aired by SNTV and EBU. And we also picked up on people like Swiss Television, because again, like we mentioned earlier, Swiss Television did not have someone on the ground to cover the event. Now, Marcel Hug, who was a defending wheelchair champion, is a very big name in the Paralympics. So it was key that we got him to his market and to his Swiss sponsors. So it's part of Dubai Marathon TV. We put together news packages and edits on Marcel for Swiss TV. And finally, of course, it's key that we go into Emirates Airline. Now, Emirates Airline, as you know, is the international airline of the UAE, but it's not a partner of the event. It doesn't sponsor the marathon, but they do take a free 30-minute highlight show put together by us on the marathon, and that's usually shown on every flight for about 3 months. Next slide, please. Right, so you've got your race. Now you have to look after the media guys. Now what we do is a pre and post-event press conference, standard, as you know, for sponsors, athletes, VIPs, and race winners. We'll also make sure of production of media tools. We'll get onto these in a minute, which are print and online media guides, as well as a number of things such as maps and the race day program. Now on the day, we will have a full media house, providing F&B and providing all the facilities such as ISDN, broadband, live TV feeds. But we will open that 3 days before the event. Naturally, there are people who cannot get along to collect their accreditations at the press conference or at normal accreditation time. So we give them as long as possible to collect their badges, and there will always be someone manning our media center for 3 days. But they cannot and will not be able to collect accreditation on the day. We're a closed down, sterile site, and I think they appreciate that now. At first it was very difficult. They thought they could just turn up on the day and collect a badge, but if you want to take your event to the next level, you have to go with all the professional standards, and that includes media. We also have a number of photographers on our team supplying copyright-free images. So we do have the complaint now and again that from photographers that can't get on the route, they can't photograph the runners in action. That's not a problem. We can provide complimentary images within 20 minutes of the race to any outlet that wants them. And on site, we'll also have a TV studio for the Dubai Marathon TV presenters. And it's also key that we make that available to the sponsors. They can visit it, they can see how everything is put together, and they can appreciate what is going on behind the scenes. Next slide, please. This is now an example of the media collaterals that we've put together. On the left, the official race program. That's no less than 72 pages. It will have profiles on many of the elite athletes taking part. And if we can find some good local interest stories on amateur runners, then we will do that as well. Such as we had the number of runners, again, from our radio partners. These are runners who are well known to the public over here. So we'd have feature on them, feature on some of our sponsors. There's also the do's and don'ts of running in a marathon and a 10K. And it gives an opportunity to advertise as well for those not part of the main marathon itself. On the right-hand side, the media guide. I would strongly recommend a media guide. They're a big job to put together, but they're key on the day. A very big publication, full of all the stats that every media needs to know. The weather for the past 20 years in Dubai, the race conditions, profiles of all the main elite athletes, do's and don'ts from us as organizers, but mainly media information. And this will also be available online from the website as well as in print on hand on the day. Can you still hear me okay? Hang on 1 second, I seem to have gone off. Can you hear me okay? Hello? I've lost all sound.
I can hear you, but I'm not sure the audience can.
Wave if you can hear me. No.
Yes, we can hear you.
I can hear you.
You can hear me. Dave can hear me. Okay, good. So you can hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you, Alan.
Great. My headphones are gone off. And the piece in the middle, aside from the media guide, that is something we'll give to the runners themselves. It's a fold-out, almost like a Z-card media guide in miniature, but it has the maps of the race routes. It also features information from our sponsors and the drink gathering stations where the sponges are, that sort of thing, and that's always available for every runner. So we'll produce about 30,000 of those. Next slide, please. Now, in addition to Dubai Marathon TV, we also have Dubai Marathon Radio. We bring in a 3-man team from the UK. Now, they will also cover small parts of the TV operation in the sense that they'll put together small news pieces, some VNRs on not the elites as such. We'll aim on this one for the local runners or the international runners who come in to compete in the 10K or the 4K. Just how can we put it? The amateur runners who have a story to tell. For instance, if we've got runners from Australia, we'll try and get a nice package on them and package it up for radio stations in Australia from their home cities. Same as if you look at the list there, BBC York took some stuff because we had some runners from that part of the world, as well as Australia. You can see their Radio Ethiopia. They obviously are keen on the elites, that's away from the amateur side. But again, we can put together whatever's required as long as we have a good brief in advance. Also there you see our reach as far as Radio Canada, Jack FM, TalkSport, BBC 5 Live. They're a big part of our operation. DRS Switzerland and people like Voice of America.
Next slide, please. Now, media coverage and value. Now, as I mentioned earlier, sponsors don't do this for nothing. They'd like to see some sort of return on their investment. I'll just give you an example of 2018. The Dubai Marathon was featured in over 1,600 articles worldwide across online, print, and social. With the potential reach of over 1 billion. That's 1 billion eyeballs covering that. Advertising value in excess of $30 million US. And the material was published in papers like the Mail, the Telegraph, the Independent, of course, across the wires, and American publications like the New York Times, Times of India. Our top countries in terms of coverage, as you can see there, the USA, the UAE, naturally being the whole marathon, India, Germany, China, the UK, Canada, Japan, Kenya, and other countries in Africa and Europe. And of course, local leading social media coverage, working with people such as Run, Blog, Run, Athletes Only. We can get to a serious amount of athletes around the world who can't come to Dubai to run, but who may want to put it in their diaries for the coming year as part of their marathon tourism adventures. Why not come to Dubai? Why not come to Indonesia or Thailand or Malaysia to run events? It should be part of your calendar. It's part of our job to make them want to come and compete in these events and to run your life in these events. This information is verified by people such as Meltwater, PR Newswire, and Decision, although other outlets are available. Next slide, please. So why do you have an international running event? Well, why do you have any sort of event at all? I believe that we are in the education, entertainment, and sporting industry. I believe that what we do is vital for health and fitness as well as for promotion. Dubai wanted the marathon because Dubai wanted to sit alongside the world's greatest tourist cities hosting a major race, up beside the Londons, the Paris, Berlins, New York. That's what we want to be. We want to be seen alongside these. And I think with the athletes we brought in over the years and the times we've achieved, we're now established as one of those top events. An international running event will give you access to one of the best elite athletes. We always pride ourselves on who we bring in. And of course, that creates positive media coverage. Again, the global media coverage comes hand in hand because of the elite athletes that you're bringing in. It also puts the international spotlight on your city, spotlight on the venue, the host venue. For us, but that's Dubai has used sport as a promotion platform for as long as I've been here. It's 32 years. It started way back in the 80s with horse racing at Hickstead and with snooker, with karate, with golf, and it's grown legs exponentially. And now we're one of the sporting capitals of the world. It also provides CSR opportunities for major brands as well as supports health and fitness initiatives. It's a key thing here in the UAE. It's health and fitness. And I think this is why the marathon and other such running events over here have been given such support from people like the Dubai Sports Council and the Dubai Health Authorities. Of course, the great thing is it's also a chance for everyone, no matter your age, your ability, your nationality, to run beside world and Olympic champions. Dave and I can't get out our golf clubs and go and play with Tiger Woods or Rory McIlroy. We can't play tennis with Federer or Nadal, but we can put our running shoes on and run on a course that's populated by some of the best runners in the world. We're not going to catch them. We might see them on the way back, but it's a great feeling to be part of the event that they're involved with. As I said, it's a carnival occasion. It's a chance to engage. It's a chance to be part of a great day with runners, celebrities, and customers. For Standard Chartered, in times of COVID, people looking at having only races or, let's say, an online virtual race. I don't really think that's what our sponsor is after. Our sponsor doesn't want just an elite race or just a mass participation event. They want a combination of them both, which is a challenge we're going to have to face in the future. Next slide, please. Now you see, this is a video, and I don't think it's going to work now. You could try. No, it's not going to work. That last video was going to be a compilation of vox pops from people who run 4Ks and 10Ks, and who basically just want to explain why they do it and what the event means to them, but obviously that's not going to work. So in conclusion from me, what I would say is, if you're running a media side of your business or a race, know your media. Know you're putting your media out. There's no point in targeting, how can I put it, publications or outlets who have no interest in running, no interest in fitness, and no interest in health, because it's just not going to work. So target your media carefully. Obviously, you've got the big dailies that you have to go with, the traditional media, But never forget, content is key. Make sure that what you're putting out there is valid. It's a great say we used to have back in the days of newspapers in the 70s, 80s. You want it splashed, not spiked. If the story's not good enough, it's going on the spike. If it's good enough, it's going to get splashed. We want to be splashed. So we want to give content. Good content on the runners, good content on the course, good education on what your race is about. Now, you should always use all your media channels and tools. Let's not just get stuck into the old school of TV, radio, and newspapers. Social media and digital is key these days. Some of the biggest advocates of your race and of your business will be the runners themselves. You can have, in our case, 25 to 30,000 people running. That's another 25 to 30,000 correspondents. Okay, the elites won't be tweeting and blogging and on Instagram, whatever they do. But the normal elites will be out there filming your course, filming your sponsors, and filming themselves. And as long as they've got a great day, as Dave again said, a key point, experience. Give them the best experience. They'll come back not only next year, but they may bring 2 or 3 more customers back with them in the following year as well. So they are a key part of your media process. As I say, keep informing at all times. Don't let anything run away from you. If you have to close a road the day before, do your best to let everybody know about it. Don't just think, oh, well, it's okay. On the day, they'll just turn up and it'll be blocked. Be transparent, be completely transparent at all times. You may get a hard time at the moment you're doing it, but believe me, it's better than getting a hard time after the event. Now, monitor your media intelligence. I think you have to. The sponsor wants to see a full report on what's gone out there, which countries, which nationalities have looked at the material you put out there, what have been the TV stats, the radio stats that I've shown you earlier. It's key to show them. Obviously, on a smaller scale, yes, some events are smaller, the budgets aren't so great, but do what you can to show the impact that you've had. And also consider the impact of communications on your audience and society at large. Make sure that message is true, make sure that message is correct. And also, if you can link the performance of the communication strategy to the event sponsor's strategic business objectives, that's very important. No event, in my opinion, will ever be held without close consideration of what the sponsor and the stakeholders are after. We're all trying to get to the same goals. Do not go for a goal that they're not interested in. Try and do something that keeps them on board. And something I didn't touch on there, which something we don't like to talk about too much, is crisis PR. Sit down with them beforehand, draw up a full crisis PR document on how business is going to be affected, how you're going to take control of any crisis that happens on the day, and go through it with them and with the health authorities to make sure that everyone knows their role on the day. Next slide. And that would be it from me, because I had 2 videos to show you. We didn't get to see them. I'm sorry about that. They played before they were sent, so I don't know what's gone wrong. But anyway, any questions you have on the media side, I'll be more than happy to answer them. Thank you.
Let's give applause to Alan. Thank you so much, Alan. That's very interesting to know that about your presentation. So I may have some question to you, but since we ran out of the time, so probably I have to reduce. So the first question that I would like to give to you both is, how do you see the relationship between the sponsor and the event after the pandemic? Of course, everybody got the deeply impact. So I'm thinking about the, how much left for next year probably if we recover from the pandemic, or how the event can move forward with so much things to compensate. Maybe we can start from David.
It's a very good question. Alan and I both have mentioned the fact that if you target the right partners and the right sponsors, they're in for the long term. So it really is a question of everybody has to work together and go through a difficult time. I'm not aware of any major sponsors canceling contracts from major marathons at this point. It seems that the running event community in particular, is always very solid. and stand by each other. And this is going to be something that sponsors and event partners have to do in order to make things even better when the pandemic is over. If I can give you an example from Boston Marathon. In 2013, there was the tragic situation of the bomb. Several people lost their lives near the finish line, and many people were injured. And a lot of people feared that most of the major marathons for the remainder of the year, Chicago, New York, elsewhere, might be canceled. That didn't happen, thankfully. But when 2014 came around, the Boston Marathon was the most incredible show of solidarity from the organizers, the community, the runners. Out of the tragedy came an even stronger event. They even came out with a tagline, Boston Strong, which was a message of unity and solidarity to say we all work together through this tragic event and we'll come out even stronger at the other side. I believe that has happened. I believe the Boston Marathon is an even stronger, much better event, more innovative event following the event of 2013 for that very reason. And if anything, sponsors and partners stepped up to another level of support. And I think that's what people do in tough times. You support each other. And this is another example of what's happening in the world right now. We have to support each other. Anybody in our running sport, our running industry, our running event industry, we have to stand united and work through this together.
Yeah, just to follow on what Dave said there, from an event side, it's no secret that the Dubai Marathon will not be held in January 2021 for a number of reasons, but one of them isn't a lack of sponsor support. It's just something we don't think we're quite in a place yet to have a mass participation event with so much uncertainty going on in the world. But the feedback from the sponsor side are that they're ready and raring to go when it's back on again. They're actually worried that we might go somewhere else. That's one of the lines from sponsors: please don't sign with other people. We want to continue. So the hunger from the sponsor is still there. I think the main issue we have to look at, will the hunger from the runners be there? And I think it will. I think people will want to get back out there, get their shoes on and get back out and enjoy some sort of life.
Okay, thank you. And then this is my last question actually, because time is up. So this is actually for Alan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So since I run a marathon as well, so I normally traveling for marathon.
Mm-hmm.
So I never been to Dubai. I've been to the airport for the transit anyway. But what is your strategy to bring Dubai as one of the world marathon destination?
Right, I know from the event organizer's side, he deals with a number of travel companies on that side. It's not something I ever get involved with on the media. But I do know he's worked with a number of companies to promote Dubai abroad. I'd like to do more. I'd like to do more exhibitions. We should be stronger in that field. That's what I'd like to see, because there's so much more to Dubai than just running the 42k distance. And there's the shopping here, the beaches, there's the weather, and of course there's so much more to package up for a marathon week. Don't just fly in and run, fly in and have a good time and a good holiday. But that's what the travel companies are doing. If you go to the Dubai Marathon website, well, you can't go now because at the moment it's on hold because of COVID. But if you went last year and you were looking to compete in Dubai, we had a whole section on there with hotels, the the best places to go, and that was being organised through an outside company.
Okay, so unfortunately the time is up. So thank you so much, David and Alan. But before we close the session, we would like to take a picture all together. Is that correct, Miss Alina? Yeah. So please stand by there. Don't go.
I'm sorry I spoke too much.
No, you're right.
Baik, kita akan berfoto terlebih dahulu ya dengan Bapak Ibu sekalian. Mungkin boleh Bapak Ibu yang berada di ruangan berdiri terlebih dahulu. Silakan, mungkin kameramen bisa membantu mengambil posisi. Apakah panelis kita juga mungkin boleh juga dibuka ya nanti ya Zoom-nya. Kita yang berada di ruangan terlebih dahulu ya Bapak Ibu. Mau dibantu berhitung? Ya Bapak ya. Oke, baik. Kita hitung bersama ya. 3, 2, 1. Mungkin gaya formal dulu. Oke. Sekali lagi mungkin boleh ya. Oke. 3, 2, 1. Sekarang gaya bebas. Sudah? Oke, gaya bebas ya. Oke. Sekali lagi. 3, 2, 1. Oke, sekali lagi mungkin boleh ya, sekali lagi ya. Ganti gaya, gaya bebas yang lain. 3, 2, 1. Marina tetap sarang yuk. Baik, kita bergabung dengan yang virtual ya. Bapak Ibu boleh silakan untuk virtual participants, please switch on your video. Boleh dinyalakan videonya. Oke. Virtual, oke, sudah? Baik. Oke, Bapak Ibu boleh silakan duduk kembali.